As the growing season wound down, frost warnings pushed me to harvest the last of my peppers. With a bounty of green and red varieties in hand, it was time for my annual tradition, fire roasted salsa making. I fired up the charcoal grill using natural hardwood chunks which infused the ingredients with a rich smoky flavor. My goal was to preserve two salsas, a super hot, thinner salsa verde to use as a hot sauce, and a red salsa with no tomatoes packed with vinegar for a long shelf life. Both would be water bath canned for long-term storage. I started with green tomatoes and an assortment of green peppers, jalapeno, serrano, Anaheim, and green cayenne, charring them thoroughly alongside red onions. Once everything was charred, I steamed the ingredients in covered pots to loosen their skins for easier removal. After chopping the tomatoes and setting them to simmer, I removed the skin, seeds, and stems from the peppers. A quick tip here, always wear gloves when handling hot peppers. Capsaicin, the compound responsible for their heat, can linger on your skin and cause discomfort if it touches your eyes or mucous membranes. I loosely followed the green salsa recipe from the Ball Book of Home Preserving, my go-to canning resource. I diced the charred onions and prepped the other ingredients. Once the tomatoes were soft, I ran them through the food mill to remove the skins and seeds. This is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. I used raw garlic for its clean, pungent flavor, cumin, Mexican oregano, salt, pepper, and the zest and juice of about half a dozen limes. Lime zest brings intense brightness while the juice adds acidity essential for canning. I also include bottled lemon juice to ensure the proper pH for safe preservation. And a handful of fresh cilantro rounded out the flavors. Using my immersion blender, I pureed the mixture into a smooth consistency before heating it on the stove for canning. For the salsa rojo, or red salsa, I used red versions of the same peppers, skipping tomatoes entirely for a bold hot sauce style salsa. Sweet yellow onions and raw garlic formed the base. White distilled vinegar and bottled lemon juice provided the necessary acidity with a touch of honey and salt to balance the heat. Once blended, the salsa was still a bit chunky for my liking, so I passed it through a sieve to remove any remaining seeds and bits of charred skin. The salsa verde was jarred first. I ladled into clean half-pint jars, wiped the rims, and sealed with lids and bands tightened to fingertip strength. I left one jar unprocessed for immediate use. I stirred in a tablespoon of fermented hot sauce for an extra tangy kick and left it on the counter to ferment briefly. The rest were processed in a water bath canner for the time required by the recipe. This time depends on your elevation. After removing the green salsa from the canner, I repeated the process with the red salsa, carefully ladling it into jars, cleaning the rims, adding the lids and bands, and processing them for long-term storage. The salsa verde found its way into a meal of pork, rice, and a fresh mango pineapple salsa. The balance of smokiness, acidity, and lingering heat was incredible. With plenty of jars now preserved, I'll enjoy these flavors through the winter and be able to share a few as gifts, just the way I like it.